when you retire. This means that many researchers don't contribute actually to their pension before they get a permanent position at the university quite late on in their career. So therefore, we received a lot of complaints. We received a lot of feedback from both the stakeholder organizations like yours and also from individual researchers saying that this is a real problem, a tangible problem, and ask the Commission, sorry, ask the Commission to do something about this. So we started with initiative already back in 2009, where we did a feasibility study if it would be possible to set up a pan-European pension fund for researchers. And the feasibility study said that it was indeed possible. It means that many researchers don't contribute actually to their pension before they get a permanent position at the university quite late on in their career. So therefore, we received a lot of complaints. So okay, now I can hear myself what I said 5 minutes ago. Stakeholder organizations like yours, and also from. What I could say also that it's this feasibility study was concluded, and we set up a task force to explore how it practically would be set up. Started with initiative already. So. This task force concluded their work in 2014. They said that they have a plan how to set it up, and the only problem is that they need somebody to provide support to set the scheme up. So what the Commission did was last year we decided to set up the pension scheme and provide money. It's not the Commission that will set up this pension scheme, it is the employer organizations, it's the employers themselves. So, for the last year, they have been working on the...
Andreas, can you stop for a moment?
Set up a task force to explore how it practically would be set up. Started with initiative. So, this task force concluded their work in 2014.
Some technical problems, yeah?
Okay.
I'm sorry for that. There was some other windows open and it's repeating. It was quite confusing. Can you go on now? Sorry.
Yes. So the Commission decided to basically provide support to set up the pension fund. So in 1st of October 2014, an employer consortium was set up, and the employer consortium will set up the pension fund in 2015. And we expect to have the first contributions in 2016. So what is the RESAVER exactly? We're talking about one pan-European pension fund for supplementary pension benefits. We are also talking about a third pillar pension arrangement for researcher grantees, for instance, researchers that don't have a permanent contract, that are not entitled to have a supplementary pension according to the employment contract. So it's an all-inclusive scheme that is basically open to all researchers that is a part. This works for an employer that is a part of the employer consortium. What I could say also for individual researchers, this means that you can move around between all these organizations, and you can continue to pay into the same pension scheme. This is a big difference from the current situation, where you have to start over again when you move to a different employer and so on. This, with RESAVER, you won't see a difference. You will just keep paying in to the pension scheme, and the pension scheme will take care of taxation, reporting, and would also abide to social and labor law in each country. And where we are now is that we are planning how we will do the setup, and it will start next week. Hopefully, we will have by Thursday the setup phase will be launched. This is a very complicated process because we are talking about different kinds of pension vehicles that we have to set up, and they have to work together. But we will hopefully have everything done by December this year. That's why we also now started to reach out to researchers themselves and to try to explain to them how this will work. We will also set up a communications website where you could go in and you could see exactly how it will work and how it will affect you. The idea with RESAVER also that we will have a pension product that is competitive. So it should be, and this is an absolute requirement from everybody and from all parties, is that it should provide the same protections as the best pension schemes in Europe at the moment. And the crucial element in this is that we have to get as many employers on board as possible. The aim is not to just get a few employers. The aim is to get all major employers of researchers in Europe to provide this service to their employees. Well, I could say so far we have been in contact with 400 institutions around Europe that have announced that they are interested to participate in this project and join the pension fund and offer this to the researchers. So that's a good start. But as you know, 400 research institutions is still not all of them. So we have to continue to work, we have to continue to address also the private sector, because the private sector is also welcome to join this pension fund. So especially, you know, because many researchers, they go into the private sector, small and medium-sized enterprises, and also bigger corporations. And everybody that employs researchers are welcome to join this consortium and join the effort. What I would like to say also that is quite important here is that you also have a role to play in this. First of all, you could, through organizations like your own, you can ask your employers to join the consortium. What you also can do, you can also, if you are involved in a labor union or you're active in a labor union, you can push the labor union also to raise this issue during the next negotiation rounds in your staff councils or in your local committees. So this is because as we usually say, you know, the RESAVER project, there's so many stakeholders involved. We are talking about so many people. We are talking about so many different kind of organizations. So we all need to work together in a very transparent way, and we need to push it from every side we can if it's going to be a great success, as we hope it will be. Do you have any questions?
Any idea how much this contribution would be?
Well, the contribution rates are set by the local staff councils or labor unions together with the employer. So RESAVER will not determine what the contribution level from your employer and your current employment contract will be. That's negotiations that will take place locally. RESAVER will only take care of the money when you transfer it, and we will invest it, and we will we will also take care of the organization of and the governance of the whole pension vehicle. So all this, when it comes to local arrangements and so on, that will have to be negotiated on local level, in many countries on a national level, but in other countries on the institutional level.
Excuse me.
Back there first.
Yeah. Is this retroactive? I mean, if my previous employers have taken care of my contributions in the previous years.
So if it's transferable,
yeah,
from what you have already contributed in the previous years.
Yeah.
Not from day one. The reason why we don't open up for transfer already now is because it's very complicated, because here you have it's a big political question in Europe, you know, how you should deal with this. We have recently a directive that we published, adopted, and that directive regulates transferability of supplementary pensions. However, we see this that we will start with this down the road, probably in 4 years' time when we have a critical mass of employers, because it needs a lot of resources to solve all the problems with transferability. I can also say, the best way to transfer also, I know many of you probably contribute to a very small pension fund dedicated for researchers or an institution-based pension fund. In this case, there's also a solution to merge that pension fund with RESAVER. And we've seen this in many countries, and we've been contacted by many pension funds that say, well, we are basically too small to offer a very attractive product. So say, maybe we could merge our assets together with RESAVER and then become more competitive and be able to provide better benefits for our members.
Gianna?
Well, it's the same question. If it is retroactive, in case you didn't pay contribution, what to do if you can pay the new contribution to get this year of pension paid?
So you're talking if you will get the two, if we pay the normal contribution and this one?
No, it's different. And you said?
No,
I think what you want to say is if a researcher hasn't paid contribution at the past, can he or she pay for the years that that she was working? That there is no.
So if we can pay the contribution to the back.
Yeah, can pay contribution to the bank. Just the researcher, not the employer.
To close the gap.
Yes.
Also, Marie Curie in Italy, and I haven't paid contribution because for 2 years I wouldn't have got any Italian pension, and if I can now pay for the bags, this would be interesting.
For example, I have got Marie Curie here at UK, and if I want to pay USS, which is the university, pension scheme for academics, I have to pay my contribution and I have to pay my employer's contribution. And that comes to a reduction of 25% of my salary.
Yes.
So could, if I opt out of USS, could I pay for the years that I've lost working in academia, pay my pension? Could I pay to the RESAVER scheme so I'll secure a pension for the years that I worked as a Marie Curie?
First of all, in the UK context, there you have the USS scheme. And the USS scheme, that's everything or nothing arrangement. So that means that your employer contributes everything to the USS scheme, otherwise they opt out completely. So far, I think all research institutions in the UK is a part of the USS scheme. The idea is that we will be able to get UK institutions to join the consortium and start paying in instead of USS or as an addition to USS. So you could choose between which pension scheme you want to join. And you see this also in Netherlands, that they are thinking of providing this just for mobile researchers, not for long, senior professors. And in that context, basically, when you start at university and you come from another EU country, you will automatically join RESAVER instead of the national Dutch pension scheme. So we have to remember also when we talk about this, we talk about direct contribution setup or pension scheme, and this means that you pay in throughout your career and you get everything back plus interest when you retire. So it's not a career average based pension, it's not your last salary based pension, it is a defined contribution scheme. Regarding if you want to pay in extra, I know in some countries the pension that you might receive, the supplementary pension by law or by the collective bargaining agreement, is quite low. It's very meager. So you might want to contribute privately, and this is you can do this also through RESAVER, because we'll have a third pillar, insurance, also on the RESAVER. And in theory, this would be open to everybody. So if you want to top up your pension, you can join without your employer being a member of the consortium, because this would be a normal insurance product like the one that you get when you go to the bank and ask for an insurance, pension insurance.
What about for the past years? The past years, can somebody pay extra, a researcher pay extra for the years that was not in any USS scheme?
Yes, you can, but this will be in the under the third pillar.
Okay, good. Thank you.
About contributing privately, if somebody contributes, will get when getting retired a pension each month, or is it like I made a private pension because I have none, as I said, and I pay each year, and at 65, let's say, I get a sum and I have to live with that, and if I live till 70, I have a lot of money to spend. If I live till 90, I have the same amount of money and I live worse.
In the pension world, we talk about this as annuities. What we will provide is either that you will get a lump sum, but that's not recommended. In some countries, this already exists, these rules that you could get a lump sum with all your pension contributions when you turn 65. However, what we want to do, we want to provide annuities. This means that you will get a pension paid out every year until you die, and it will not be lower and lower and lower as you see in some. It will be the same, and this risk will be basically taken by an insurance company. So this is something that you would have to pay for, but at least, I mean, this is what we call annuities, and this means that you are safe until you die, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Paul, you want to ask something?
Yeah. In my case, I'm South American. So I don't really know what happens with my contributions when I leave, because I don't know what's going to happen with me after my current position. And also, if I go to a private plan, is it going to be effective, or I just like put in money that I will never get back?
When we talk about RESAVER, won't have any waiting periods. It won't have any vesting periods. This means that you will get back everything you pay in. However, there might be tax implication depending on which country in South America you come from, because in some countries, you know, because here you have the double taxation agreements. So you could get taxed for these contributions when you retire, but hopefully we have solved those problems by then, and we hopefully you will also be able to get a pension from Europe by then.
Thanks.
Natalia?
I lost the question.
Okay. Any more questions? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I spent the last 10 years in Norway, and I came here for Marie Curie to Birmingham. Most of us in Birmingham, we are out from a USS pension scheme. And one of the reasons is because the system is it's not transparent at all. It was really, really difficult for us to find out what is going on within the system. So one of the things that we have found out was that 17% of the contribution was supposed to be paid by a university. It's actually being taken from our accounts, and the scientific accounts. So in the end, you are sitting with the trade-off between the investment for your future as a pensionist, or for a science, for the chemicals that you are buying to the lab. So we should never have actually such an option when we start working at a new place.
Excuse me to interrupt you. You didn't have an option to opt out from the pension scheme?
Yeah.
Because usually we have this option.
Yes, not that thing. I'm talking about that 17% of this, because you're supposed to have a contribution from the university, and the contribution that's supposed to be paid from your salary. But the system was designed in such a way that actually 17% is not taken from university. So it's not employee who is investing in your future, but it's being taken from your Marie Curie grant.
Yeah, that's true. And the adults like 23% of your salary being paid at USS.
Yes.
You have the option to opt out. And if you opt in, you can opt out before 2 years. Actually, I'm planning on because I found out that the university wouldn't pay for my contribution.
Well, I have found out 3 months already as I started, so we are out. Everybody in Birmingham is out because it's like, yes, if this is being taken from your grant, and then you have less for your science, then basically you are screwed because you can blow up your career, not really saving the money for the future. So what I'm saying is that we should never have this option here for weighing our future as a pensionist with a science that we are doing at this particular moment. And then the question I have had was about the national pensions contribution. So it's like, okay, we brought this money here, those money goes to the national contribution, and then those monies are lost for our futures. So this is something which so like whatever you discussed now, it's a private pension scheme. But then there's a lot of money which are basically overhead, which is lost from our future. So it's like how the European Commission deals with this problem.
Could you repeat the last question? I did.
So actually, my concern is about the national contribution, which is being paid to, let's say, to UK when we are here temporarily.
Okay, first pillar pension.
Okay,
yes.
This is called national insurance. So you're sure if everything, I mean, if you need medical assistance, if you need medical help, this is called national insurance. And supposed to be part of it is your pension. So if you live from the UK, if you work in the UK for 10 years, probably in the future you might get something like a small amount, like £200 or £300 to your.
No, you will not get that.
You will not get.
You will not get that because you have to stay here in the UK for 10 years. And it's
but if you work more than 10 years here,
yes,
and then you go.
But that's what you are not here for. You came here for temporary, yes, because you want to return to your place. So that's what I'm saying, that this is not fair. Because like in Norway, you don't really have this option. So it's like you are working and there is a certain amount of money being kept for your pension in the future. So and I think that this is one of the things that's why Scandinavians are not coming here, because it's just one of the things is the economy here.
Yeah. First of all, when it comes to the first pillar pension, I know that there are issues about on first pillar. This is a state pay-as-you-go social security that you pay, and there are problems with this. However, they should have been solved. But the thing is that you might not get your social insurance from the UK because this is coordinated at the European level between the member states. So there are rules for how to coordinate this, and you should not lose out on these state benefits, although you live in the UK for only 6 years. What will happen is that the UK government will transfer your contributions to the Norwegian government if you move back home. But you have to apply to do this. It won't happen automatically. So this is, of course, it's a lot of paperwork and so on, but it works, and it's very difficult. This is something that's beyond the EU's control. This is national competence, national powers. We have no say in this whatsoever. So it's very difficult for us to make a European social security plan or arrangement for all Europeans. That's something that is impossible for us. Also regarding Marie Curie, it's also a bit different with Marie Curie because it's an EU grant. And also it has always been very important that a part of this EU grant can be dedicated to paying pension contributions and so on. And you know, in many countries, if you have a Marie Curie grant and you say 2 years, it makes no sense contributing to the supplementary pension because you won't get it back. Because that's something that, you know, you often have waiting periods when it's the supplementary pension part, and waiting periods up to 10 years. So what we're talking about here is that I wouldn't contribute necessarily to a second pillar pension if wasn't sure that I would stay there for the vesting period. So this is a big challenge, and the thing was that with the Mercury grant, it's still, I think, huge progress that we made, or we actually made it possible that you can pay pension contributions with this grant. And the problem was also, when we developed this scheme, was that you couldn't set a specific contribution level for all of Europe, because it's so different. I mean, in Finland you have the contribution levels for your supplementary pension plan of 2.5%, while in other countries, like in the UK, it's like you said, 17 or something like that.
It's 17 that the employer is contributing, and 6.5 that the employee is contributing to USS. But for PQEs, the sum of these two, which is like 23%, is being deducted from our salary if we choose to be at USS in academic pension scheme. And as far as I know, from my university at Imperial College, most of the Marie Curies, they choose to opt out. And initially I was opt out as well, but for a reason they reduced my contribution. And now that I'm, at the end of it, I found out that the college doesn't pay its contributions, so I'm going to opt out as well.
Yeah.
They're going to ask me for £10,000 or more than college has to pay for myself. And also, college pays for everybody that is employed under national grants, regardless, under national grants like PSRC, BBSRC, all national grants to other employees, except from the Europeans. Okay, so we need, actually what you do with this RESAVER is something that is very good for us, that we are mobile researchers, and we don't know where else we're going to work in the future. And it will be good if we could pay respectively to this scheme, to RESAVER. So for the years that we opt out from USS or from other pension bondage.
Yeah, the idea is that when we set up RESAVER and we managed to include the UK, it would basically mean that you could pay from day one into RESAVER, that you wouldn't need to opt out from USS. It would be just an alternative from other national pension schemes. So, and in some countries, you could also see RESAVER as the primary pension fund for all researchers. So, I mean, it depends on country, and it depends also how the social partners get along and the result of negotiations here. But we hope to be able to solve this problem quite soon, actually. So we're talking about the next 4 years. We will probably have clarity in this, and we'll probably have solved quite a lot of issues in all European countries.
Good. Any more questions? Yeah, Nita.
I understand that you have the possibility to pay in RESAVER, and then you will not pay the normal national schemes. In Germany, I'm living. I don't pay anymore since 10 years because I was working there very few. I'm still working there, but that's as freelance, as my own enterprise. So I pay in a private pension scheme, because the money I have to pay in the national normal way, it will be too high for the result, because I will never get enough years together. So will it be possible also to go to this kind of pension system? I know that in Germany, if you are less than 5 years, you can ask money back. That is possible, to ask to save the money you have paid in the pension scheme in Germany. But what about people like me that is more not more mobile, but still being in some kind of switch position?
RESAVER is built in a way that it means that if you move outside RESAVER and you want to, you can't continue to contribute to the second pillar part, the supplementary part. This is a legal restriction. I mean, you have, because your employer contributes together with you, so the employer has to be a part of the consortium to be able for you to contribute to the second pillar pension. However, if you move to a private company outside, this means that all your contributions will be frozen. And if you move back and start, or your employer joins the consortium, then you can continue to pay into your pension accounts. And this basically means that even though if you, let's say, you move to a company that will never join RESAVER, this company, and you will work at this company until you retire, this means that you will get back everything that you contributed up to the point that you change this employer when you retire, and you get back everything plus interest.
Okay. And you have no problems with the national normal scheme that the whole people that is moving to the RESAVER not pay anymore in the normal security, because a lot of money that are paying for the pensions are be used for all other things and not for the pensions. That is, if you have a lot of people moving around and joining the RESAVER, maybe the national budget will be less.
Well, you have to make a difference here between first pillar pension and second pillar pension. You can't opt out from the first pillar pension. That's a state pension. That's the social security part that you pay. And we are not looking at replacing that. RESAVER will only be an alternative to second pillar and third pillar solutions. So in this context, this means that the government will still get their share. I mean, this is something that it's very important to all member states, because this, as you say, they finance a lot of the social security system using this tax, you can say, that they withdraw from you. And pension is just one part of it, but you also have health care, elderly care, and so on in some countries that are financed through the first pillar system. So remember, it's just second pillar and third pillar, not state pension and not social security.
Yeah.
Can I just ask something? How will the money itself be administered? Is it just going to be more like a savings account, or will it also be just administered by putting it in hedge funds and then in assets and everything? Because after the financial crisis, what we've seen was that some people, their pensions, their personal pensions, so second pillar, or that they really decreased in value. So I was just wondering about that.
Your contributions will be transferred to a pool. But we will always track, your contribution levels, and we will track how much you contribute through your career. Then the money will be invested by investment manager. Our investment strategy will be developed, and this will be amended now and then, and we will have a committee for this with experts and so on. And then an asset manager will then invest your money in what we call in a life cycle approach. This will be the standard. The life cycle approach means that you take higher risks when you're young, and the older you get, you go into safer and more secure assets. However, you can also opt out from that and do your own investment choices. And here we will have different risk profiles. So you could, for instance, say, I want to be more in the stock market. I want to invest more in, or otherwise I want to be only in long-term investment projects, meaning that it's low risk, secured by governments, and so on. So then you can also take that decision yourself. However, our experience is that it's only about, I think, 2-3% that uses this opportunity, even if it's presented to them. Because people are afraid playing with their pension money, so they feel more safe leaving these choices to professional asset managers.
Okay.
You will include the possibility to choose only sustainable companies or not military companies or something like that?
Yeah, this is the idea. This is why we have the investment committee also that will lay down a strategy, and then of course all members will be able to come with recommendations and so on how the money should be invested, and we see nowadays also that these pension funds are going more and more towards long-term investments. We have, and also going more and more to the safe, low-risk, low-yield assets. Where in most pension funds nowadays, it's over 60% of those are assets. I'm sorry. So it's usually I always get the question also: what happens if we will have a huge catastrophe in Europe? And the European economy will be in ruin for decades. But I say there is no safe place for your money then. I mean, it doesn't matter. Not even a government will be able to pay out those RESAVER at least. Then the risk is in your hands. You're able to control it, and so on. If the government takes care of your money, you never know. Look at what happened in Greece. Look at what happened on Ireland and also in Poland, where you see really a decrease in their pensions because that the government has made wrong decisions and had to take the money away from the pension funds.
And in Spain.
Yes.
And in Spain.
I have one question. If I put my money in RESAVER, when I can get the money, I'm talking about when I have the age of retirement, or with some years of contribution?
No, it's a very dynamic, but I mean, in all, you don't have any number of years that you have to fulfill, like you have if you have a defined benefit plan, where you have to work for 30 years to be able to get a full pension, or 20 years, and so on. RESAVER, you can have worked just 10 years and you can retire. I mean, that's up to you. But the thing is that when it comes to early retirement, of course, you will get less money because you have contributed less. But it is possible to retire earlier. And those rules will, of course, have to be negotiated on a local level or national level with the labor unions and so on. Yeah, late retirement is also a possibility. So if you want to work up until an old age, you can continue to contribute like you want. So the decision is yours, basically.
But you have to be retired by the government. I mean,
to be an official.
You have to be officially retired to get the money, no?
No, not necessarily, because we're talking about the second pillar. We can set the rules. We can allow early retirement at 58, for instance, but that means that you, of course, have contributed less. That means less money for you when you as a pension. And this is the reason also why we could you can continue to pay in if you, for instance, many researchers continue to work up until they are 70, even though the legal retirement age is 60. 65 or 64. And this means that you could continue to contribute even though you might even get a pension from the state, but you can still just withdraw your pension when you turn 70. I mean, the choice is yours. Then of course you will have a very high pension and you can live a very good life.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
And I have another question. If you have a big illness, in case of big illness, I mean, I have a contract, is a Coco Pro in Italy, and in case of maybe unfortunately I get a cancer or something like that, it doesn't cover. Does RESAVER has some special money designated to that?
At the moment, yes. I mean, at the moment, the insurance that we provide from start is death insurance. So if you die when you are before you retire, your children and your spouse will get money from RESAVER. So that's an insurance, a normal life death insurance that you have in many countries. But our RESAVER is a platform, so we could include other insurances too. And this would probably be done later on, depending on the demand. So you could have a disability insurance, you could have sickness insurance and health insurance. This is, up to if the members determine that there is a need for this.
Any more questions? So I guess that's it. I think this RESAVER initiative is really important for us, and we should try to raise awareness to other mobile researchers, to employers, and try to create also some pressure to be more accepted. Anything else we could do to help, Andreas?
Spread the word. Spread the word. That's raise awareness with your colleagues, within your networks about this initiative, because I'm certain that this is a really helpful initiative for all researchers, not just the mobile research, but all.
Okay. In that case, I can't thank you enough for your time, and it's a privilege to have first-hand information over here. Thanks a lot for the patience of taking up with technical details and all that, and we'll try to keep in touch and keep with the updates of the initiative. Thank you very much, Andreas.
Thank you for inviting me.
Can
Goodbye.
we find your email somewhere?
I can pass that information right on if you want.
Okay.
Good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.